Hello, I'm Mitchell. You all know me. I'm your classmate. And this is Bow 101. This is my homemade longbow. As you will see in this video, it is very useful. The longbow is, as I said, one of the most useful tools in medieval Europe. We've learned in class, and I will be adding on to this, that the longbow won tons of battles in the 100 Years' War. Now, for my own information, the longbow is about 4 feet high. Mine isn't strung very tight because I have no arrows, and if I make any errors while practicing, it doesn't matter. There are little notches where I can put my arrows, and usually I'd have a quiver with lots of arrows, maybe 50, or lots more if I'm going on a reconnaissance mission. The longbow is one of the largest medieval weapons. Now in this video, there are 2 parts. One video with 2 parts. I have the bow information and the sword information. I am using a wooden short sword because I don't have enough room for a huge sword, and I really don't have one other than a Japanese katana. I'm going to start with sword, even though it's Bow 101. The bow can wait till later. Now, the sword, as I've learned, was used for hacking and slicing. Sometimes it was finesse, like the German longsword. It is a 2-handed sword. And if you get in a lock, a sword lock is when 2 swords pushing against each other. Usually the one who is stronger would push the other one back. And if you lose a sword lock, usually the force pushes you back like this, so you're open for a stab. Now, as you can see, I'm pretty good with the sword. I've actually made a few katas, as it is in Japanese, or combos. Combo number 1, very simple. Slash, slash, stab. As I will do here, it's very simple. Combo number 2. I will have directions in this one because it is very precise. Down, right diagonal, left diagonal, stab, drill, swish, block, cut. I just cut myself. Now, the sword was one of the most basic weapons. It can be used on horseback, maybe even up close, or with a shield against something like, a staff. Now, some staffs aren't only just sticks. There were staffs that had bottom edges that were sharp. Now, these were for higher ranking officials, like lords. They might have one if they were in danger of any sort, or for recreation, like hunting. It's also known as a spear. Now, let's get to the bow. The bow, as I said, this is a longbow. Not always used for hunting a lot. It's more for fighting. Like, if you were just to sit and wait with your bow like this, in a tree, let's say, with no modern technology, just sitting there silently, waiting for someone to pass that you know will pass. And you made sure no one, not even double-crossers, knew where you were. Or even your spies knew where you were. You could sit here all day with your bow in hand and wait for them to come. And when they come, silent. Thwick. And then, if you had an accomplice across the road, the other one would go thwick. And it could also be used as a manhunt tool, as I've just shown. Now, the bow, if at close range, could be snapped easily with a sword. Like, let's say, a sword like this comes, and you are not out of arrows, but they're too up close. What you would do is your bow would have sharpened edges, unlike this. And what you could do is you could dodge their slice, dodge, and when they're open, stab. It's also used as a close range weapon. But if they were to slice it, it'd break without getting you any harm. What you could do then is take the halves, throw them, and run like heck. In truth, if a sword was against a longbow at close range, and they didn't break it, the sword would win still. Because the sword had more maneuverability. Let's take a second and think. Let's imagine there is no hilt, and there's none of this, and your hand is now another joint. The sword has now become an extension of your arm, and often it was used like that. As to where, if someone's coming at you and they just slice and stab without knowing any finesse, and you have an extension of your arm right here, what you could do is kind of like in brawling. You could grab and punch. In this case, it'd be block and punch. Or maybe a low block, block and kick. The sword was just as useful as the bow. Now I'm probably going to cut this off and make another video showing some field tests. Okay, see you then. This is Mitch, signing out.